This week in Post, 2 examples of blending exposures to create a complete landscape photo. Hi everyone, I'm Scott Davenport. Welcome to In Post. Thanks very much for joining me. This is your first time here. Real quick, what this is all about is I'm going to go through some post-processing of some photos that I've either recently taken or been part of an In the Field episode where I've shared some of the behind-the-scenes footage. So you're getting the full end-to-end experience of what landscape photos are all about. There's parts that have to happen in the field. There's parts that happen in the computer. Bring them all together and we get a full, complete image. So today I've got 2 examples of blending multiple photos together. And why am I doing this? As I was processing some images from some scouting I was doing along the ocean, one of the things I'll do is take several photographs because there's motion in the scene and motion changes in different areas of the scene at different times. And I found as I was doing some processing, I was blending multiple exposures together to get the motion and like the waves correct or the way I wanted them in the different areas of the scene. I thought that'd be interesting for you folks to see. So let's dive in with our first example. So the first example I have is actually a little spot I'm quite excited about getting back to when the conditions are pristine and perfect. And it's a nice calm seascape here. I've got some good water flowing over pretty much everywhere. I got very fortunate with this individual frame, but I would like to get a little more action going on in the backdrop. And so I have a second photo on a different layer, and I just like the crest of this wave, and there's a couple of more things going here. So what I want to do, this is a very simple blending job. I want to keep the foreground of this top layer and reveal the background of this bottom layer. And whatever layer software you're using, it's a pretty straightforward job. I'm using on one layer, I'm going to use what's called a masking bug, and this is just a gradient shaped mask. So as I drop that onto the photo and then I can just position it, what I'm doing is I'm hiding the upper portion of my top layer and revealing the wave underneath. And I can just control the feather here a little bit because I don't need it to be too feathered out because there's nice motion already in that foreground. But then that was my bottom layer, and now here's the top one, so I'm revealing this wave. And I might rotate this just a little bit more, make sure I'm catching the full amount of this wave over here so it's more or less flat. Position my center point over there, get a little bit of a different angle on that gradient, something like that. So very quickly, I've taken those 2 photos, blended them together. I've got nice motion in the foreground. I've got a nice wave crest in the background, and I can go forward and do the processing on this composite image. There's a second example. This is a little more complex. I've got 3 photos that I want to blend together, and this had more areas where I had different motion going on. So this top layer, I've got my overall scene is quite nice. I love the swirl of water in the foreground here, and what I want to do is my second photo, one layer down, this layer here, has got this nice spill over this big rock here. And then the third and final layer has got some nice spill over this rock here. And I want to combine all 3 of those so I have a more dynamic, more complete photo when all's said and done. Now I've already brought these into layers and I've already done my alignment to make sure everything's lined up. So this is really just going to be a matter of using the brushing tools. So I'm going to just really quickly take the opacity down a little bit on this top layer so we can kind of see where we're going to be working. From here, I'm going to grab the brush. I want 100% opacity. I'm going to bump the feather up a little bit more than default. We'll increase the brush size a little bit and then just start brushing through here. So I changed the opacity on the top layer just so I could start to get a feel for where am I going to need to brush. Kind of sweep through here. Now, for this, for the video, I'm doing this a little bit quickly. If I'm working zoomed in at 100% normally to do the detailed work, this is just to give you an idea of what's going on. And from here, I can increase my opacity of my top layer back up. We'll get into this area here. Let me increase my feather even more. Maybe decrease the opacity some, just to make sure I get a nicer, smoother blend in here. And again, I'm being a little bit sloppy with the masking right now. Again, you get the concept here. lining up your layers, and then masking them together to get motion in different areas of your scene. And let's do the same thing here with this, with the final portion of this, which is this rock here. Now, once I'm done with masking, I'll take this layer and merge it down to the next layer. I don't need to keep all 3 layers around. This last one, I have this rock on the left-hand side. We're going to work with that. And so again, top layer is selected. This one I don't even really need to go all the way, change the opacity on this layer. I will bring my brush strength all the way back up and just start brushing through this rock here to bring in this little crest of waves that we're splashing over this rock. Like that. Something to this effect. And I'll have to do some smoothing and blending here, getting a blur tool to smooth out that mask. Probably also using that brush with a lower strength, maybe even in the 40s, 30s ranges, to kind of sweep through a second time to get a nicer blend there. Use the blur, smooth that out. So eventually you get a nice smooth fade for your merging of these 2 layers. And last but not least, I'll go ahead and merge that down as well. So I'll end up with a single composite layer. Everything's in one layer. I can go take that and do some stylization on it, color corrections, adding contrast and detail, whatever else is necessary for the scene. So I'll show you here the 2 finished photos from these blending and then stylization jobs. And they came out pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with the results. So the tip of the week is to blend your multiple photos together, especially when you have elements that are moving or changing in your scene, and sometimes you just can't capture them all in a single frame. You can use the tools we have in post-processing to bring those together and get the realization of the vision that you had when you were out in the field with your camera. And that wraps up this week in post. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know. Likes, comments, shares are all appreciated. If you've got questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me right through the website, comments on the video, variety of social media outlets. I'm in a bunch of different places, so I'm sure you can find me. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport, and happy shooting.